you can't help but realize the human nature hasn't changed much over the thousands of years. I told you that Satan loves to put people against each other. Let me tell you something. That's why prejudice is so bad. Prejudice is an act of Satan. Because if he can get you to hate somebody that's black, or hate somebody that's from another country, or he can get somebody to hate the rich, or get you to be jealous of the rich, or hate the poor, he's winning. Because this is what he's done since day one. What was one of the first sins? Who killed who? It's a division. Cain kills Abel because he's jealous of something. This is one of the ways the enemy uses man against man. So the ancient world has had its share of intrigue and political deception, violence, greed, and war. The lust for power and wealth drove men and women to violate human rights and break divine laws, to go to any length to get what they wanted. Now, I'm going to give you an application tonight. Maybe some of you might not like it, but it's changing my life. It's literally changing my life, and I'm going to tell you that. They slaughtered thousands of innocent people, plundered the helpless, and even killed their own relatives, just to wear a crown or sit on a throne. Kind of sounds like today's world, doesn't it? Daniel is showing us the history of humanity, fueled by the enemy of man, Satan himself. He's showing you humanity at its worst. And is it not ironic that the same exact areas that Daniel tells us about, the kings of the north and the kings of the south, are still at odds today? And Israel, the glorious land, is still in the middle? Now, I've been a student of Bible prophecy in the end times for over 38 years. I'm amazed how little the church at large focuses on what's about to happen on planet Earth. I am absolutely dumbfounded that the church is silent on what's about to go on. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe at the apex of Christ returning, at the apex of seeing this thing come to an end, that the church is muddling around with things that have nothing to do with the end times. This long history that Daniel gives us, and we'll go to verse 35, is about the age-old conflict between the north and the south, and I'm not talking about the Civil War. But north and south of where? Well, the glorious land, Israel. Today, more than ever, we need to keep our eyes on Israel. Today, more than ever. This is the hot spot, right there. Geographical, spiritual center of the earth. That is the hot spot. Now, just listen to me. The north is pushing her. Syria, Iraq, Iran. The south is still rising up, Egypt. Oh, come on, jumble up the names and it all comes out the same. Listen to them. Seleucus, Antagonus, Antiochus, Saddam Hussein, Bashar al-Assad, Muhammad Ahmadinejad, Ayatollah Khomeini. They're all kings of the north. Ptolemy Soter, Seleucus, Ptolemy II, Ptolemy III, Mohammed Morsi, Muslim Brotherhood. They're all kings of the south. Daniel's telling us our front page news. They're still pushing, ever fighting, looking for the edge, looking to be number one. And what's in the middle? The glorious land. Look at what they're trying to gain control of. They're looking to be number one. It all boils down to pride, and here's where we get into the application that has changed my life in the last couple of weeks, by the way. And it's a pretty big statement to make. Here's what they want. Who's the best? Who's the greatest? Who has the most? It happens in the world, and man, it even happens in the church. Do you ever hear somebody say, how many so-and-so led to the Lord? How many raised their hands for salvation? How many people are coming to my church? How big is the newest cathedral? How many books so-and-so has published? Who's the best? Who's the greatest? Who has the most? In our age of competition and wanting the best, I can't help but hear what Jesus' words say to me, because this is what he has done in me in the last couple of weeks, because I'm still a work in progress. I read this and it revolutionized my life. I knew it was there, but it revolutionized my life. Listen to it. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. Has nothing to do with competition, who's the biggest, who's the best, who has the most people going, who wrote books, it has nothing to do. Matter of fact, it's the total opposite of that. He talks about meekness. Now, there's a word you don't hear much today in our world of the biggest, the best, and the I'm number one. When I think of meekness, I think of this. Anybody know what that is? Not a pear. It's a mango. When I think of meekness, meekness is a fruit, by the way, and so is a mango. I think of a mango. A mango is a tropical fruit which hasn't really caught on in America. It's not like the orange or the pineapple or the banana. Americans, for some strange reason, just don't warm up to the mango a whole lot. For those who have a taste for it, it's sweet and delicious. I love mangoes. But for those who haven't, it's different enough to taste funny. And people tell me, oh, I can't have a mango, that tastes funny. Like the spiritual fruit of meekness. The mango is often misunderstood and underappreciated. Yet Jesus tells us, if we learn of him, we'll find it. I told Cheryl this past couple weeks, I want to pursue it more than I've ever pursued it in my life. I want it. I want strength under control. And I'm not talking about anger. I'm talking about being meek, being less occupied with self, and genuinely concerned for God and others. Now, I've been that way, but I want more of it. I want everything I could possibly get. It's the exact opposite, listen to me, of self-assertiveness, self-interest, and look what I or look what we've done, and look what I or we have accomplished. That smells of anti-Christianity. Look how big we are. Look what we've done. Look at the great message I've preached. Look at this. Look at that. That is anti-Christian. It's elevating self instead of being meek. You with me tonight? It's, in my opinion, meekness, in my opinion, is anti-American, because Americans love to be number one. They love to be the best. But when you become meek, it stops the comparisons, it stops the competition, and the concern of who's the best, who's winning, who's on top, who has the biggest, the latest, or the shiniest, and puts us in a position to yoke up with Jesus and to be used mightily of him. In short, here's what I found out about myself. And by the way, when I did this, when I read over it, I knew it. When I read over it, I started to think about the life that's around me in the churches. I go all over the country in the churches and what this church is saying and what that church is saying and who has the angle. And I thought, has nothing to do with what Jesus said. No. He said, be meek and lowly and learn of me. Don't elevate a church. Don't elevate a pastor. Don't say this is, well, if they're doing something that's wonderful, but has nothing to do with meekness. And so I started to think about, how can I put that? Well, they said it about Ronald Reagan. You know what made Ronald Reagan a great president? This is, if you hear anything about his history and his biography, one thing made him a great president. He wasn't the smartest person in the planet. He just wasn't. He was an okay speaker, but he wasn't the best speaker we've ever had. You know what they say made him the best president? He was comfortable in his own skin. Oh, yeah. He wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. It didn't matter whether anybody else had something. He knew who he was. And it's a solid meekness. Now, in short, it is being comfortable in your own skin, not trying to be the biggest, the brightest, or the best, not competing in the rat race of our world, not jealous or envious or proud, but meek and humble, lowly, not interested in self. If you want to be like Jesus, you need to hear his words, not the words of American Christianity or American culture. You need to hear the words of Jesus. It really doesn't matter other than the words of Jesus. Learn of me. I am meek and I'm lowly. And what will be the result of that? You will find peace.